Hey everybody, back to the Bill Caskey Podcast. We are live-ish on YouTube, so if you want to see the inner workings of this whole studio thing, if you're a listener and want to go to YouTube, go to the Bill Caskey channel on YouTube and you can check that out. In today's episode, I had two things that happened to me here in the last 24 hours. I've got a marketing person who is working with us to help us devise some client acquisition ads and organic reach and digital media. And she was a really clever young lady. Her name is Ashley Monk. And she came to us and said, okay, what kind of budget do you want to have for this campaign? And we got into what's your lifetime value of your client and how much should you set aside to acquire that client? All these questions were things that I know I've asked clients before. I've been in the process before of kind of figuring that out for myself. And so that was interesting because I felt like we haven't talked about that in a while. The second thing that happened is I've got a client who is in my 2X group, which is our mastermind group for professional salespeople. And he sells products and services that help his clients generate more clients. So it's a business acquisition or client acquisition service that he sells. And he was not asking any of these questions about lifetime value, customer acquisition costs. So I thought this was a perfect time to do a video. In this video, I want to share with you the three elements of it and give you some ideas on how to go about doing it. So number one thing I think we really need to buy into and embrace is that it's the math. At some point, there's going to be money that's being spent on you or on me. There's an investment, and we can call it whatever we want. And it's not really a cost, it's an investment, okay, but it's money that goes out of the company that you're calling on, or your company. And there is money that comes in, either through cost savings, through better profitability, higher profitability, through more gross revenue. There's an exchange of that. And I just call it marketing economics. There's a marketing cost and there's a marketing return. And you've got to embrace these numbers and you've got to not run away from them. What I would rather you do, and hopefully this video is an inspiration to you, is to get kind of deep inside the numbers. What are the numbers? You may be surprised at how much value you bring in the market if you just understood the numbers. So number one, it's the math. You have to remember that. The first thing that you need to do is you need to assign and understand the lifetime value of your client. The lifetime value of your client for the company and for you. So if you're in professional selling today or you're VP of sales, you've got two lifetime values. If you go out and generate a $10,000 a month client and that client stays for an average of 18 months, that's not a $10,000 client. That's a $180,000 client. I guess that's why I use $10,000 a month. Easy to calculate. That's a $180,000 lifetime value. Now, if you really wanted to understand lifetime value, you'd look at what are the referral potentials for that client. So if that client that's worth $180,000 to you over their lifetime also refers you to 5 other people who also generate $180,000 over 18 months, that's another $900,000. So that client now is not worth $10,000 a month. That client's worth $900,000 if you look at the total lifetime value. For you as a sales professional, if you look at lifetime value as, okay, I'm going to generate, let's just say 10% commission on that. I'm going to generate $10,000 a year, $18,000 over the life of the client. What are you willing to invest? Are you willing to invest time bringing that client along or bringing that prospect along? Are you ready to invest any of your own money? If you're not willing to invest any of your own money, I have to ask myself, why would you not invest hundreds of dollars to generate $18,000? That makes no sense. You say, well, that's my company. No, it's you too. You've got to start looking at yourself like an entrepreneur, like a marketing person who says, I've got this hanging out here, this $180,000 or $900,000 client, and you're not willing to invest any money in it? If you're a VP of sales and you don't have this conversation with your marketing people, what's our lifetime value? Then you're having the wrong conversations, I can almost promise you. So lifetime value should be a part of every marketing, every sales plan, every business plan. And if it's not, you're making a huge mistake. Number two, so once we understand lifetime value, we've got to understand client acquisition cost. Gary Vaynerchuk refers to it as CAC, client acquisition cost. What is the acquisition cost that we are willing to spend? What's the money we're willing to spend to acquire a client? You cannot decide what you're going to spend on ads or on LinkedIn or even on time. You sales professionals who are devoting no time at all to social media, I think that's a mistake. I also think it's a mistake to devote 7 hours a day to it. So you've got to decide, based on the lifetime value, what am I willing to invest to acquire a client? That's the customer acquisition cost. For a VP of sales or an owner, you've got to look at your marketing expenses, you've got to look at your ad spends, whether it's online or offline, you've got to look at your sales team. Your sales team figures into this customer acquisition cost. You pay them a salary, they go out and generate clients. But if you look at the number of clients you've acquired over the last year, let's just say, and you look at all your sales and marketing expenses, you will come up with a client acquisition cost. Not just ad spend, it's everything in the budget. So salespeople, you need to figure out this for yourself. What are you willing to spend, invest, whatever you want to call it, to get a new client? Just look at it from your own selfish needs. Look at it from your personal income. You should be investing, I think, 5 to 10% to get a client. If a client's worth $100,000, I'm happy to spend $10,000. Now, $100,000 of revenue doesn't mean $100,000 of profit. Profitability could be 30%, 20%. You've got to factor that in too. If you're in a really low profit business, if your gross profits are 12%, you can't spend 10% generating a client. There's not enough left over. So you've got to figure that out, but that's a good exercise to do. Number three is, what is your tactical budget? So you've got the customer acquisition cost. Let's say that we decide we're going to spend $10,000 to generate this $900,000 client. And where are we going to spend it? Are we going to spend it in ads? Are we going to spend it on webinars? I've got a client who started doing webinars at the very beginning of the crisis, the COVID crisis in 2020, which we're in, but in case you're listening to this in 2025, we had this little crisis. And he started doing webinars. It cost him very little to do. And he generated 3 or 4 pieces of business from the webinars. And lots of goodwill, lots of brand reputation, lots of email addresses, people that probably are going to do business with him in the future. But the point is that he didn't spend very much at all on these things. Spent some time, and time is money. But you've got to look at what are the avenues, tactical budgets that I'm willing to invest in. Maybe they're platforms, maybe they're ads, maybe they're just webinars or seminars that you do, live seminars. Maybe it's meals with prospects. Maybe it's sending a book out to your referral partners. You've probably got 5 or 6 people who are connectors in your world. You send a book to them once a quarter. Hey, I read this book, thought you might be interested in it. Do you do that? Oh, the company won't let me expense that. Come on, man, take personal responsibility. Take personal responsibility for your own business. Invest money. So the 3 things are lifetime value, understand that, calculate that, ask around about that. Number 2, customer acquisition costs. What are you willing to invest to get that lifetime value? And number 3 is deciding on the tactical budgets. Okay, where am I going to spend this dollar and this dollar and this dollar? And then start to double down as you understand where the windfalls come, where the positive return comes. If you want to learn more about me, you can go to billcaskey.com. Also, we'd love it if you subscribe to the video channel and hit the bell so you're notified every time we have a new program come out. And we'll see you on the other side at some point. billcaskey.com, plenty of free stuff there, and you can get a hold of me personally there too as well.